So Bel-Air episode 8.
Yeah, no need for family feuds.
Yeah.
So basically, it's Will's birthday.
17th birthday.
Yep, it's his 17th birthday. So everyone's coming in, and his mom's didn't come in. She got on a PJ. They sent a PJ for her. And Carlton's on punishment. Why? Because of the whole party thing that happened in episode 7. But of course, Will's now on punishment because 1, it's his birthday, and 2, I think they just hate Carlton. I don't know. It makes no sense. You can have punishment right before your birthday. It's all right.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a little different because like I was thinking about that too. It was like it's also like you're my son, so I'm gonna hold you to a higher standard than how I would with like my nephew who just got here. And he even said that. Phil, he didn't say it that good. He kind of said it very dickish, but that's basically what he said, you know.
Oh, that's awesome. But that's another thing that is kind of like the old show too. I don't know. I'm watching some of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and Uncle Phil saying Will had twisted his hair and was wearing like prison clothes. He was like, "Yeah, you're right. I'm not your dad. I can't tell you what to do." He said, "But these 3, they're my children. So for whatever you do, they're going to be on punishment." And he laughed and walked off. And of course, the other 3 got him back right. So this show is not like the other show.
No.
Obviously, one's based on comedy, one's based on drama. But I'm happy that they do things that bring you back to that. You know,
the same vibe. Like I get like you said, comedy drama, but at least have the same core of the characters, and I think most of them kind of do. Most of them have the same kind of core, but the rest of it is very different, very, very different. But so
what do you think? What did you think about episode 8? Because I could go on and on about stuff.
I know. I want to save because like last time we kind of broke down each kind of little story happening. Yeah. This one was really Will and Viv and his mom. That was the main story. And then everything else was really kind of on the side. I guess Carlton and Will, which was theirs, but I thought theirs was more impactful than the sisters, than Viv and Vi.
Because I think this will back up later in later episode, probably 2 episodes. Episode 10, this is going to come up.
Oh yeah.
But the most important thing was like only the last little minute with Will and
Geoffrey.
Ooh, boy. That's something I really want to talk about. But as far as the whole show, the whole thing's about Will's birthday and them celebrating. And obviously it's a lot of tension between Vi and Viv. And we get to at least figure out what's going on. Why Vi so mad with Viv, and how Viv she's just oblivious. She's oblivious to all the things that people have done for her to get to where she is.
Yeah,
which is very much, just
it goes.
Yeah, go ahead.
It goes in line with what she did with Phil the last episode.
Exactly.
And
I think that's part of her character that she really doesn't realize that because you're going through something else doesn't mean that someone didn't open those doors for you still. And realize that you didn't do it all. Oh no, I'm not painting anymore. Well, how about the fact that you didn't have to work and you did better? How about the fact that who got you into painting? How about all these things that people sacrificed for you to get to where you were?
I want to save the Carlton Will thing maybe towards the end because I have a lot of like stuff about them, but yeah, just talking about like the and Viv, like she, I guess like she's the younger of the 2, so you're kind of like the baby of the bunch, and you kind of forget that like that people are doing things for you, because you're so worried about your own struggles that you forget like, oh yeah, she did this, she did this, she did this, and I don't know, that whole scene where she like they were whispering and then she just exploded, and I'm like, what man, like that's not cool. But then I'm like, yeah, she's the baby of the family, so she feels like she's always getting picked on, and then the older sister is like got to be the strong one, and she realizes it. But
but at first Vi with the whole thing, why would you want to go picture woman go blow for blow with presents for someone's 17th birthday party when you have like thousands of dollars, they got millions. Yeah, that was just a bad idea. You know what I mean? And then you don't get butthurt because they got him limited edition Jordans. Like, dude, he didn't have a car. You know, they gave him a Lexus that they just threw out there. Hey, just take these keys. You know, I'm just saying, like, it wasn't going to work well for her. I don't know what she thought was going to happen. Like, they were giving him a terrible present because you got him a picture frame and put a picture in it. Like, what did you think was going to happen? Hilary was interesting too. I do want to say that Hilary was interesting. I'm glad she came to her senses, and basically she broke her contract, which cost her $50,000 and lost all of her content. But she's the one person that can afford to do that. Like Uncle Phil's like, you spent $50,000. Oh, you got out of your contract. Here's $50,000. You know, but I think what hurts her is she was trying to stand up on her own 2 feet, and she was trying to do it by any means necessary. And at least she realized that she couldn't do that and be the same person she claims to be. She's 19 years old. It's hard for you to be 19 years old, try to say you're standing on your own 2 feet without knowing all the consequences of what's going to happen and how people will look at you and how you're going to have to figure out are your goals and everything really worth it? You know, do you really have your standards? Do you really have all those things aligned and understand how hard it's going to be? And I think I like that coming to age and understanding what you're going to give some to get something, or you got to leave. Keep yourself right, you know. And it's really interesting for Hilary. I think her side story is good.
Yeah, I like her side. Well, because it's very much like a 19-year-old just kid, not even a girl. Like you're like, oh hey, here I can make your dream come true. Cool. And then you start getting the backside of it, you know, all the stuff that you didn't read, you know, the fine print. And then she's kind of getting it, but then you flash some more money, you know, for her, you flash the sponsors, here's more money, and then you're back in it, you know, because you're like, yeah, money, cool, yeah. And then luckily she's, I think, had a good enough upbringing by her parents that like she kind of figured it out. Like, yeah, I need to not sell my soul like for this, you know. But one thing that really upset me was like, your dad is a lawyer, like you have a contract.
You could talk to him and he would have got you out of it. Or you could have just told Geoffrey and Geoffrey would have. He's the fixer. That's all Geoffrey is the fixer. You know, you tell him, he would have got you out of the contract with no problems. Kylo would have been kept running to you, giving you $50,000. Well, sorry for making you sign this contract. You know, like
it's not even getting out of the contract. Why didn't you show them before you signed the contract? You're like, hey, here's a contract. I want to read it. Hey, you know more. Check it out. Even if you don't want to go to your dad, go to Geoffrey. Like, hey, can you read this real quick and see what you think? It's like you signed it without reading.
The rest of the family has a healthy fear of Geoffrey. Not fear, but a real respect. Yeah, except for Phil. But real respect. The rest of the family knows it. And they're not just going to ask Geoffrey to go do something for them because, you know, Geoffrey's going to go do it. Plain and simple. And they know that about him. So he's not mean. He's very understanding. But I don't think they don't just go to him for those things.
No, because I think I don't know if it's like one of those things like, oh no, he works for Phil. Like, yeah, like he works for my dad. He's not part of the house per se. He's part of Phil's group, you know. So I don't know, maybe there's that whole thing in it.
This whole Geoffrey and Phil. That conversation was real.
Yeah.
So Phil comes to Geoffrey and says, look, I don't care what's going on. I don't want Lou to get near Will. And Geoffrey says, okay, first he says him okay. And then he says, okay, but do you not think that's going over boundaries? You know, that's stepping over the boundary that you're not the father, you're not Will. How would you feel if someone did that to you for Carlton? I know I wouldn't like it very much as you did to my son, and it would have been big problems. And Phil says, well, I hear what you're saying. You work for me. do what the hell I tell you to do. And Geoffrey looked at him like, okay, sir. But he looked like he was about to slap the shit out of him. You know, like,
Yeah.
who are you talking to? You work for me. You don't own me, bro. You know, and so kind of going back to it, Geoffrey was on the point where he was going to quit because of this whole conversation. He's like, you know, I can't follow a man like that because if you don't respect me as a man, I'm not going to put myself out there for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think Phil is going over the line. He is.
Yeah. With Will and with Viv too, a little bit, you know. But at least Geoffrey's on board with keeping an eye on Viv because of Reed. You know,
I think we see who she is, and she's easily manipulated, and she forgets about who did everything for her.
Yeah. Also, like, and who she's dealing with. So she's easily manipulated, and she's dealing with like a good manipulator. So, so he's like, you can see Geoffrey's cool with that. He goes, all right, I'll keep an eye on him, you know, and do what I gotta do. But then now he's like, hey, I need you to keep an eye on him or keep him out of the picture. Yeah, and I was just saying, he's like, nah, I can't do that. And I'm like, oh, cool. I mean, I thought it was really cool because like it sets a boundary, like he has a line you can't cross. Like he has morals. You know, you just can't like, hey, this dude's messing with the family. I got you. And then, you know, a day later, you know, his funeral is announced. You know, stuff like that. I'm like, oh shit. But now he's like, okay, there is a line, and it's more of a personal, like maybe connection line or something like that.
Man and his son. Who am I? Because I've done my dirt. Who am I to stand between someone else and their son? And he looks at Phil like, who are you to make that decision? No matter what Lou's done, who are you to make that decision?
Yeah.
And the backstory for Lou, which we are not privy to yet, but he understands the backstory to it. And he still says, who are you? So that says a lot. And it makes me worry about Phil, that he's getting so arrogant that he believes he can make those decisions. And just overall, I believe that this decision overall is going to make him have to drop out of the race before even before, like, I think he will kill him in the
like the debate.
The debate, yeah. And I think he's gonna kill the debate. I still think he still is going to step aside.
Yeah.
Because of the decisions he's made, because of this, because of Reed is gonna come up, because of Will with Luke, because Will's going to blow up. You know, he doesn't, you know, he's gonna blow up, and it's because he's gonna find out that Phil's trying to keep him away. Without talking to Will or saying anything. And I understand why you don't want to talk to a 17-year-old about this situation now on his birthday. But if you know he's around, then you probably should say something.
Yeah, like sooner than later, you know, especially, you know, at this age. But I can see that. That's already like, that's 2 more seasons. Next season is going to be Lou coming into the picture and effing up Will. Like, and then the 3rd season is going to be Will realizing like why everyone wanted to keep him away. You know what I mean? So second season is going to be Will mad at Phil. You know,
it can't be that long because I had watched that episode of Bel-Air with Lou when he came in the picture, and how Will blew off Uncle Phil, blew off the rest of the family, blew off his mom, whatever. And then, of course, you know, about to go on a trip, all something with his dad, and then, of course, his dad leaves him again hanging. And, you know, that's the whole epic thing when Will's, you know, does his blow up, and he says, well, how come he don't want me? And he starts crying, and Uncle Phil holds him. With that story, he can't be around that long. Obviously, Lou will probably be around 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, that's about right.
And then something's going to happen when he's going to do another quick scheme, and he either puts Will in the middle of it, and Will realizes that he's in the middle of it and walks away, or he leaves him hanging in the middle of something, and Will walks away, and Phil has to go save his butt again.
Yeah, I can see that.
Or Geoffrey will, but this whole thing with Geoffrey and Phil is going to be really interesting because what does Geoffrey say to him? And then, so I hate to go on, but we have to talk about what Will does is after this whole episode, he goes to Geoffrey and says, hey, can you find out about my dad? And this puts Geoffrey in a real precarious situation because, you know, he's like, I'm going to quit. He has letter of resignation, everything. But, you know, Will really wants me to find out about his dad. And he's like, look, You don't want to know about the past or why people do things. That's only going to hurt you. What you really gonna, I could probably tell you where he is now, and that's as far as I could go. And it seems like Geoffrey has made his mind up that that's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
But doing that is directly going against what Phil said. How's that affect the relationship between them two?
Mm-hmm.
Geoffrey's going to get fired. There's no question he's going to get fired. And Phil's going to have to go back to Geoffrey because Will's going to get into a situation that only Geoffrey can get him out of. I think that's what's going to happen. And that's what's going to cause him to have to drop out of the race. I think episode 10, I think that dynamic specifically is what's going to cause it.
Mm-hmm. Because he's been doing all his dirty work, but then once you get rid of the guy who does your dirty work and you got to get your hands dirty, that's usually not a good sign, especially with somebody trying to run for a political position. So,
or you just don't have the ability to do it. You have no connections.
Yeah,
you get a fixer when you go in politics. You get a fixer because he could fix things and do things you can't do. So it won't be an option. So I think that's going to be a very interesting dynamic that's going to happen. And I think that's going to be the whole thing that's surrounded for the next 2 episodes.
Yeah,
Geoffrey giving Will the information, Will finding out about Lou, and Lou putting Will in some type of situation.
You think in the next 2 episodes? I think they might save that for next season. I think at the end of this season, he's gonna find out where his dad's at, and then that's how it's gonna be. Like he's gonna leave Bel-Air to go be with his dad, and I think that's how season 2 is gonna start. I think because if they do that in the next 2 episodes, well, yeah, 8, 9, and 10,
go find out where his dad is. I can see that, but I also feel like Geoffrey, the thing that's going to be like a cliffhanger is that Geoffrey gets fired.
Yeah,
and then you start the next season with that. And now, what's Phil going to do without Geoffrey? What's the family going to do as it starts to fall apart without Geoffrey? What's going to happen to Phil when Reed is starting to sweep in on Viv? Like, what is he going to do now? He lost his probably his closest confidant, his best friend, the only person that he could talk to real about. He loses those things. How does that affect Phil?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is I saw an interview with the guy who plays Phil, and he was talking about that he's going to have to make big decisions about his future in the next 2 episodes.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, because what's his name? The police chief guy that he's going against. I can't think of his name. Yeah, Lisa's dad. He knows that Geoffrey's his what do you call him? His guard. Yeah, like his little henchman and stuff like that. So he knows, he's doing some stuff. He's got his little guy. But yeah, that's gonna be interesting. With their dynamic. But then real quick, so I agree.
Fred Will. His name's Fred.
Yeah, Fred Will. That's what it was. So I agree that I think it was he was giving him his letter of resignation. Like he's like, I'm quitting. I was reading though, there is a theory there, like, what if it was him giving the information? He's like, here's the info on Lou. And then Will comes in and he's like, all right, let me hold on to this info so Phil doesn't know. And that's a good theory, but I think he was gonna quit. That just makes sense, because the way he was treated. But the other theory, I'm like, if they go that route, that's not too bad. Then it becomes, oh, you're holding information that I pay you to give me, and then that can kind of turn into the same kind of snowball, but just a different route how it starts.
But I feel like if he had that information, he could have told Will right off the bat, right then.
Yeah.
Like, look, here, this is where he is. This is what's going on. Just want to let you know. I mean, what you do with it, you need to come to me if you do things before you do anything stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I protect the family. I protect you. But here's where he is.
Yeah.
Because I think if Phil already kind of knows what's going on. Because I think he's out of the country. Like he's going to be like across the border. Somewhere like that.
Like in Mexico doing some shady shit. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I can see that. Or that'd be interesting if he was in Philly. So I wonder if he would be like in Haiti or Jamaica. Where's this new Geoffrey's Jamaican.
Yeah, Jamaican.
Right. So I guess maybe they connected that way or something like that. I don't know.
I think he's gonna be real slick like Will.
A smooth talker and stuff like that, but he's not gonna have the same conscious that Will has. Like,
he's gonna be 60 years old. He's been through it all, you know. So he ain't got nothing to think about. You can do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
You know. But I think this is a good time for us to talk about Will and Carlton. So
I was just gonna say.
I'll let you lead this one. Go ahead.
So they didn't really talk too much until the end of this episode, but they're the ones that go to their parents and when their moms, they go to their moms, and it's funny when they talk about it, it's like they're talking about their relationship between Carlton and Will. They're just talking their relationship through their mom. They're like, oh, you don't know, you got to think of she doesn't know this, she doesn't know that, blah blah blah, you got to be the bigger person. And it's just like they're telling themselves advice to deal with the other person, and even there's the big part where Carlton kind of like, you see the light bulb kick on, and I'm like, oh, this is where it's going to start, where she's like, oh, Will always wanted a brother, and you always wanted a brother, and she goes, oh, now look, the universe did what it did, and now you guys are together, and you see Carlton like, okay,
yeah, that's true.
Because
I have mad respect for Carlton from this episode. So
the last two episodes
where we left for episode 7, when Carlton is about to get arrested and Lisa saves his butt, but she's coming from Will's bedroom. So now Carlton knows that they're together. All right, he didn't blow up and go try to fight Will or nothing, Then he sees during Will's birthday dinner, Lisa comes over and he's introduced as his girlfriend, and meets his mom and all that stuff. And Carlton doesn't blow up at all. Carlton stays within himself. He stays cool with the family. He doesn't run off. He doesn't go storing his stuff. Nothing. He kind of deals with it, what's right in front of him. Then this whole resolution with Will is all started by Carlton. So Vi and Viv, finally make up because Will and Carlton kind of make them find each other and talk to each other and say, hey, you tell me I gotta deal with Will. You need to go deal with your sister. And Will says, you're the older sister. You tell me I got to be strong. You need to be strong and understanding too. So you need to go figure it out. So Viv and Vi, make up. And they also talk about Luke. But Carlton comes and says, hey, I don't want to do this for decades. You and I can't continue to have this competition for no reason. And Carlton opens up to Will and says, hey, everything I had to work hard at. You walked in, and within a month, you had it all. Talking to girls, every girl loves you. Talking to the teachers, you're smart. You're the best of the basketball team. All those things that I had to deal with and had to even lose part of myself to get. You did it without problem.
Yeah.
And stayed yourself. Sorry. So for him, it was like, it's not just about me hating, but how easy it is, and I have to live with you. And then you choose Lisa of all of the girls, my ex-girlfriend that I can't get back.
Yeah.
Yes, I was hurt. But him saying that and opening up and opening the Will, and Will understanding where he's coming from. But he would never know that, unless he was the one who open up and say it.
Yeah. I think he even said he was jealous of Will, like how easy it came to him, which I mean, just saying you're jealous of somebody is pretty big, but
you gotta be strong to be able to do that, to say those things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the last episode, you start to see the change in Carlton. And then this episode was like the big change. And I'm like, okay, they're already gonna start that brotherhood that like the original show had, and I'm like, okay, and they literally said it in the show. I kind of don't like when they do that, but it fit. We're like, oh, you wanted a brother and he wanted a brother. Now you guys are brothers. It's like, when they're so like just in your face with it, but it worked out. It wasn't like too cheesy or corny, kind of thing. But yeah, I'm glad by the end of this season that they're already figuring it out.
And as much as I say I'm been mad at Will because you just don't. Why would you mess with family's girl? Why would you mess with her? She's not the only girl in the whole school.
Mm-hmm.
At least he gave Carlton the confidence to say that. And now he's learned how to be comfortable with his friends and to be himself still and learning how to deal with other people. So he's teaching them those things. So I give him some props for that. It's not just him being just charismatic, but he's also pretty strong in who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really cool. Even though I believe that's going to be tested in these next 2 episodes.
Yeah, I can see that
yourself.
Yeah, I can see that like going on, especially like through the next season. Probably throughout the whole season. Like he has to deal with, because right now, what they're juniors.
Yep,
the juniors, so they have to deal with senior year. And I feel like the whole Connor, was it Connor? That whole situation, that's not done. There's no way that's done. So I think that's going to get tested, like you said, a lot for the next 2 episodes, and I think all the next season. To where by the end of the season, he's going to be the Carlton that we kind of remember and like. I don't think he's going to be as goofy as Alonzo was, but he's going to still be that guy that you kind of like love to hate kind of.
Well, I think he's going to be that, but I think he's going to be more confident in himself.
Yeah,
he's going to be okay being who he is, and that's huge. If you could do that, I mean, that's winning, honestly.
Yeah. So, but I mean, overall, this whole episode was really, really good. The hammer is still going to drop with Will lying to Lisa, so that's going to come down in the next couple episodes.
Yep.
I mean, maybe that throws another wrench in Carlton and Will's relationship, because does she go running back to Carlton, with it? I don't know. I mean,
girl, bye. Just get rid of her altogether.
Hopefully Carlton does that. He's like, get away from me. I don't want to deal with it. Because they already set that up, where he's like, don't hurt her. And he's like, you got my word. I was like, you already going to hurt her and you don't even know it, because you already lied, a big lie to her.
Yeah, but you're doing it for family because Uncle Phil told you don't do this.
Yeah.
Don't do. Once again, revolving around Phil's,
the ego.
Going for DA. His candidacy is really big. And I believe in the first one, I'm not 100% sure that he lost the first election for the district attorney.
I don't remember.
I'm not exactly 100% sure, but I believe he did lose that first one. He won it again because the guy found out something bad about him, and he had to bow out, and he ended up winning that.
Because this one, it's a special election. That's what they keep saying. So, yeah.
So I'm thinking that's what's going to happen, and that he's going to either lose or bow out, and then he'll be next in line. So he'll be behind him, and then next in line. Then after he does something stupid, then he goes and comes up and becomes a district attorney. But I think he's going to have to choose his family first. For the first time, he's going to say, "No, my family needs me to do more, and I'm going to stand behind Fred Wilkes and let him go ahead for a district attorney."